Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihakute Radha Madhava Kunja Bihakute Gopi Jana Balaba Yidi Baladare Gopi Janabalabha Idivadadare Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanan Dana Brajachanaran Jada Jamuna Tera Banachari Yamuna Tera Banachari Jaya Radhu Madhava Kunja Bihakute Jaya Radhu Madhava Kunja Bihakute Gopi Janabalabha Idivadadare Gopi Janavarabha Kirivaradari Yasudanandana Vrajajananandana Yasudanandana Vrajajananandana Jamuna Tira Panachare Yamuna Tira Panachare Jairadu Madhava Kundabihaji Jairadu Madhava Kundabihaji Do Madhava Kundabihaji Re Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya All Sutrada Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Amaya Chaitanya Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Radhakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Prem Say Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Way to Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Vakta Vrinda Kijaya Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopidat Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kijaya Vrindavanam Kijai, Maturadam Kijai, Jagannathaswami Kijai, Yamunamai Kijai, Shrimati Galasi Devi Kijai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Kijai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvadikacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deja Tarni. So I'm going to read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 59th chapter, text 32. And we'll read a few texts and then go back and comment on some of the things we've read. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Shukovacha Iti Bhumi Artito Vagvir Bhagavan Bhakti Namriya Datvavayang Bhoma Graham Pravishat Sakalar Dhimat Shri Shugovacha Iti Bum Yartito Vagvir Bhagavan Bhakti Namraya Tattvayam Bomagraham Pravishat Sakalardimat Shishugovacha Etibum Yartito Vagbir Bhagavan Bhakti Namriya Tattvayam Bomagraham Pravishat Sakalard Dimat Shishugovacha Etibum Yartito Vagbir Bhagavan Bhakti Namriya Tattvayam Bomagraham Pravishat Sakalard Dimat All right. Shri Shukuvacha. Shukadeva Goswami said, Iti thus, Bhumi, by the goddess Bhumi. Artita, prayed to. Vagbi, in those words. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. Bhakti, with devotion. Namraya, humble. Tattva, giving. Abhayam, fearlessness. Momagraham, are the residents of Bhomasura. Pravishat, he entered. Sakala, all. Riti, with opulences. Mat, endowed. So translation, Shukadeva Goswami said, thus entreated by goddess Bhumi in words of humble devotion. The Supreme Lord bestowed fearlessness upon her grandson, and then entered Momasura's palace, which was filled with all manner of riches. So you can repeat, Shukadeva Goswami said, thus entreated by goddess Bhumi, in words of humble devotion, the Supreme Lord bestowed fearlessness upon her grandson, and then entered Bhomasura's palace, which was filled with all manner of riches. So there's no purport by the followers of Srila Prabhupada here, but I'm going to read some of the commentaries, and then I'll speak, and then we're going to go on to further verses after this. Let's see how far I can speak on this verse. So Jiva Goswami says, worship by her words the Lord was pleased. Instead, archita, sometimes artita, fleeted is seen. In other words, instead of worship, see, archita would be worship, and artita means expressing one's desire. You know, artha, like dharma, kama, artha, dharma, kama, dharma, kama, artha, kama, and moksha. So that's her desire, and it's in the case that she's pleading, begging. Okay. So, and then he quotes from the 10th canto, 81st chapter, text 35. Kinchit karot yurv vapi yatswadatam suritkritam apalvapi burikari mayopanitam pritukaika mushtim prajagrahit priti utomahatma. The Lord considers even his greatest benedictions to be insignificant, while he magnifies even a small service rendered to him by his well-wishing devotee. Thus, with pleasure, the Supreme Lord accepted a single palmful of the flat rice I brought him. Of course, that's Sudama Brahman speaking there. He was pleased by her respect and offerings. The wealth of the city is described in the Harivamsa. And I'm just going to read the English. Never had such quantity of jewels been seen or heard of by any king, Kuvera, Indra, or Yama. The demons guarded the jewels. All the jewels of the Devatas and Gandharvas and snakes were in Naraka's palace. And so there's more information from Sanatana Goswami here. I'm going to skip the first sentence since it's the first same thing mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. By the excellence of her words, the Lord was pleased. The words were filled with bhakti. The Lord, full of mercy, Bhagavan, bestowed fearlessness to the boy and then entered the palace to relieve the envy of Satyabhama. So this is going to be a little differences of opinion here. Or by getting off Garuda. Or he entered with Satyabhama. So there's two different understandings here. Maybe he entered with Satyabhama. Maybe he left Satyabhama behind so she wouldn't get envious. With Garuda, with Bhumi, with Bhagadatta. Bhagadatta is the grandson, like that, grandson of Bhumi, and with the guardians of the treasury, because it is the house of the son of Bhumi was full of wealth. And same quotes are there from the Harivamsa. So we'll speak a little bit now. So let me read the verse again. Shishu Gavachi iti bhumyarti tovag vir bhagavan bhakti damraya tatvabhayam bhoma graham pravishat sakalard dimat. So Om Gana Timirandasha Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvam Namaha. So several different things, but one of the things I wanted to comment is the use of the words in the translation here of humble devotion. And these are really important words. But first of all, I'm going to speak about something that I really thought about when I was thinking about this pastime. One was that Bhumi has just had her son killed. However, in one sense, she was one of the main precipitating factors behind the Lord actually coming down to the earth planet to kill the demons like her son. If you remember the beginning of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? It's quite interesting. And she's probably aware that her son was going to be one of the people wiped out. So in the beginning of the 10th canto, we have Bhumi, who comes to Lord Brahma, makes a complaint, obviously, and she knows that Lord Brahma is going to go to Lord Vishnu on the shore he's going to go to the shore of the ocean of milk, and Lord Vishnu is in Shvetadvip, and she wants Lord Vishnu to appear because she feels overburdened. Interesting. She feels overburdened by the demoniac force of kings, one of which is her own son, Bhaumasura. Interesting. Whoever's causing that ding, 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 please turn that off. So that's the first thing. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was that humility and devotion, which is mentioned here, which is actually meant to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So first thing I'm going to talk about devotion. Of course, the word for devotion is utilized here is bhakti. Bhakti, of course, we're familiar with this word. It comes from the root word bhaj, which, according to Srila Prabhupada, means to serve. Someone's ding, ding, ding. Please turn it off. Which actually means to serve, but not just to serve. Like Prabhupada would talk about how that you can't really translate the word bhakti as simply devotion or as simply service. And Prabhupada combined the two words, devotional service. And what does that devotional service mean? Well, of course, according to many verses that we're quite familiar with, it means, basically, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, in the Nectar Devotion, I've quoted this verse often, Anyabi lashita shunyam yanakarma navritam anukuyena krishnanu shilinam. It means to summarize, without any ulterior motive, gross or subtle or desires of liberation, then one serves Krishna enthusiastically, one serves Krishna with to please Krishna with devotion. We use this word devotion. Just say, one can say he's very devoted to his car or very devoted to whatever. But to please Krishna according to the way that Krishna wants to be pleased. And we know that that's the only thing that can please Krishna. And according to 1855 in the Gita, the familiar verse, Bhakti mam avajanati avanyas chasmi tatvataha tatvato mam tatvato mam, what is the right verse of the verse anyway? Tatvato mam, I had it written here anyway. Tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. That only by devotion can I be understood or I be pleased by that bhakti, the unalloyed devotion. And in this way, one can understand me and enter into my nature. And other verses that describe this, what bhakti is, Savai Pumsam Parodharma, that's in the first canto 8th chapter, Yato Bhakti at Hoksajay, Ahaituki Apretiyata Yatma Suprasidati, another famous verse, that bhakti is defined, Haituki, Savaipumsam Parodharma, the topmost dharma, is bhakti, which is rendered Haituki apretiyata, without any personal motivation, that means, or cause. Hetu means cause. Ahetu means no cause. Haituki apretiyata is never stopped under any circumstances. And that's the only way to please Krishna. Yatma supersedite. And of course, that's very familiar to the other verse, which I often quote, is Tatenu kampam suchamikshamanam bhujanavatma kripatam vipakam ridvad vapurvir vidadam namaste jiveta yo mukti pradesadayabak. That if one has to undergo difficulties in this world, one sees them, and I'm paraphrasing the verse, as token reactions for one's own activities that the Lord is reducing, and goes on serving the Lord in spite of all the suffering that's there with one's body, mind, and words, and then one becomes a fit recipient for pure devotional service, or rightful inheritor, as Srila Prabhupada translates that. Another verse is Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Priyojita Janayati Aisu Vairagyam Yanachaya Hoitakam. By rendering service to Krishna, unalloyed service to Krishna, Vasudevi Bhagavati, one gets detachment from this material world and knowledge. So many verses. And the final verse is they're all from the first canto, second chapter, text 4 to 8 or something like that. So the final verse is that without bhakti, everything is useless. And what is that verse? That verse is Dharmo swanustita pumsams vishvakshena katasuyat no padiyad yadi ratim shrama eva kevalam. If you're doing all your duties perfectly and very honest person, functioning nicely in this material world, but you're not developing devotional service, then shrama eva hi kevalam. It's all a waste of time. So the question is, how do we evoke bhakti? And in this, how do we evoke this bhakti? And we find some hints. Of course, the primary necessary ingredient is the association of pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we know, Brahmanda Brahmate Konda Bhagwan, Jiva Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Latabish, that the living entity is wandering throughout all the universes, and he doesn't get bhakti until he comes in contact with a pure devotee and gets the Bhakti Latabish, the creeper or seed of devotion, which for many of us, or for all of us, it was His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who implanted this seed of the creeper of devotion in our hearts. So that's the initial stage. But then, according to the Gita, we're bringing in the Gita verse, Tadvini Pranipatena Pariprashne, one has to approach the spiritual personalities humbly. And here's that word that's used in this verse, humility. What does this verse in Bhagavad Gita say? Tadvini Pranipatena Pariprashne Sevaya. One has to approach and render service and inquire submissively, is the way Prabhupada translates it. So all this is humility, built into humility. In other words, first you get the Bhakti Latabish from devotees, and then you approach the devotees with humility. So humility is actually very much connected with attaining bhakti. In fact, it's intimately or intricately, or it's a necessary quality. It goes along with bhakti. As we see Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshashtika, Trinadapi Sunichena Toroi Vasishna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniyasirahari. That's abject humility. Actually, the word for humility in Sanskrit, one word is dainya. This word is used in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And sometimes the word dainya is translated by Srila Prabhupada as feeling wretched. It's interesting because I went over all of Prabhupada's translations of this particular word after I referred to the word in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So, of course, one may think, well, that sounds like what? Depression, feeling wretched. But there is a vast difference between depression and feeling wretched. Wretched in this particular case means I have no good qualities. I have no taste for hearing and chanting. However, to avoid depression, there's this ashabandha. You understand ashabandha? Ashabandha means hope against hope. That even though I am wretched, I have no good qualities, I am happy because I'm so fortunate and I have the association of the devotees, which I'm praying that I will never lose. So being humble means you keep the association of devotees. And being not humble or proud or puffed up, as Prabhupada used the expression. Actually, when you use that expression, puffed up, before people not members of the Krishna consciousness movement, they don't understand it. Or use the expression, what Dr. Frog, like Prabhupada, used the expression. So no, don't use that expression publicly. So puffed up means you're going to commit offenses, either by neglect, omission, or what? Commission. And commission can mean with your mind, body, words. Like we find Brigham Muni committed offenses, isn't it? To Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and then finally Lord Vishnu. So if we're not humble, we're going to definitely interact with the devotees in a way that's going to be counterproductive to our Krishna consciousness. So humility is extremely important. And I'm going to give some examples of humility and then some quotes from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We find that when Dabir Kash and Shakara Malik first approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramakeli, and of course that was Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they put like blades of grass in their teeth and in a humble way approached Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even though they were quite educated, extremely educated, and extremely rich. It's really interesting. That's why it's impressive, even nowadays, when you find, let's say, a famous politician, I'll use the example, like Modi, for example. He goes to the temple and he rendered, there were some pictures of Modi going to our temples and offering arti and, humbly offering obeisances to Prabhupada and actually offering arti to Prabhupada. How many prime ministers have done that? Offering obeisances and arti to Prabhupada. So then, it's quite unique. So, of course, Queen Kunti says, Janmaishvarya Shrutasya Shuvira Adapuman, that people become proud because of learning, people become proud of riches, people become proud of beauty, all these different reasons, Aishvarya, Shrutasya, Shibir, and the Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, or Dabir Kas and Shakara Malik, were not proud. They approached Lord Chaitanya in a very humble way. And so this is extremely important. Actually, there's a statement by Prabhupada. Not Prabhupada, I'm sorry. This is from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Without the strong spiritual qualifications of true humility and devotion to the Supreme Lord, no one could avoid becoming intoxicated by the material power and facility for enjoyment. And this is in reference to Gopakumar. Gopakumar, of course, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, was given such facility for material enjoyment. He became the king of Puri. He was a king of a province in India. He was became Lord Brahma, became Indra. Imagine how much facility Indra has. The demigods are bowing down to him. You have all these dancing girls dancing in front of you. All this, the power of your thunderbolt, the Vajra. And it says in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, without strong qualification, I'm reading again, of true humility and devotion to the Supreme, no one could avoid becoming intoxicated by the material power and facility for enjoyment given to Gopakumar. And of course, we also see that one of the sources of anarthas for devotees is the facility, power, prestige given to a devotee as he advances in devotional service. And I'm going to relate to my godbrother Jayananda, who in spite of having all sorts of facility remained in a very humble position serving Srila Prabhupada, in spite of being a senior devotee, well respected. Whenever he was glorified, he would just glorify Prabhupada instead. So anyway, so let me read a little bit about humility, or being humble, from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. I guess we won't get to any other verses today, and I had a lot to talk about. In the third part, fifth chapter, text 221, loving devotional service is far different from disciplines such as karma, jnana, and yoga. At every stage, it is decorated by indifference to them. Indifference to karma, jnana, and yoga. It's interesting. Karma means acquiring things. Jnana means getting knowledge or liberation. And yoga means getting power. Like bhukti, siddhi, kam, sakalaya, shanta. One is attached to what? Bhukti, mukti, or siddhi, material enjoyment, mukti, liberation, or siddhis, powers in this world. That person will be disturbed. And at every stage is decorated by indifference to bhukti, mukti, and siddhi. And its root is dainya, utter humility. The root of loving devotional service is dainya, utter humility. Here, Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu translates that as utter humility. This is from a commentary by Sanatana Goswami on his own work. And actually, no, this is from the verse, sorry. Translation by Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu. Text 222, 222. Wise men define dainya as the state in which one always thinks of himself exceptionally incapable and low. Think about that. Exceptionally incapable and low. Like I said, there's just a little hairline away from depression. But in other words, dependent on Krishna. I personally have no power, but Krishna is lending me whatever I'm able to do, my intelligence, my strength, whatever it is. There was even one famous radio announcer who would always say, intelligence on loan from God. Anyway, he's dead. So he wasn't a devotee. But it's true. I may be incapable. I may be low. But somehow or other Krishna is using me. Just like an instrument. And of course, I do have that free will to choose to be, I do get some credit that I've chosen to be an instrument to be utilized by Krishna. Yeah, so let me repeat this. This is so, when I read this, it's really helpful to my devotional service. One always thinks of oneself exceptionally incapable and low, even when endowed with all excellences. Because they're being lent to me by Krishna. They're not mine. And 223, an intelligent person should carefully cultivate speech, behavior, thinking that fix him in utter humility, there's that word, utter humility, and anything that stands in the way of it, he should avoid. In other words, we don't look after being praised. Actually, even there's that statement, he who praises me is my enemy. So it's not that someone says not something nice about you, that they're actually your enemy. But you should think like that. If I take it seriously, I'm acting as my own enemy. Because he is praising whatever Krishna has allowed me to manifest because I am his instrument. And the instrument of my spiritual master. 224. Dainya, at its most exalted, comes forth when prema, pure love of God, reaches maturity, as it did in the women of Gokula when they were separated from Krishna. And in the purport, it says, to achieve a transcendental Dainya, one must learn to love Krishna in the mood felt by the gopis. What does that mean? Ashlishabha padapanaştamam darshanam marmatam karoktuva yatatata vabhadata lampato mat prananatas tu sevanapara. I don't have a right to anything. Krishna, you could do anything with me you want. You crush me by your embrace. And then we recite this every morning. But you'll always remain the focus of my love and devotion. In the mood felt by the gopis, led by Sri Radha, when Krishna left them to go to Mathura. We can understand from the example of the gopis, Viraha Bhava, their feelings of love and separation, that this special Dainya arises only when, by Krishna's exceptional mercy, a devotee who has realized Krishna's sweetness develops extraordinary prema in his heart in the mood of separation. As prema appears in degrees of excellence, so does Dainya. Very interesting. And this, of course, is Sanatana Goswami. Gopi has translated Sanatana Goswami's commentary. 225, and we're almost finished. Wow, it's almost time. When Dainya fully matures, prema unfolds without limit. So in other words, prema, it's a necessary ingredient. I mean, it's not the only ingredient, but it's a necessary ingredient. Necessary means it has to be there. I mean, it's not sufficient. In other words, you need other things like association with the devotees, the process of devotional service, etc., like that. But when Dainya fully matures, prema unfolds without limit. Think about that. So, anyway, so if you don't have Dainya, then you're not going to prema. So we see Dainya and prema acting in a relationship in which each is both the cause and effect. In other words, the more you love Krishna, the more humble you get, and the more humble you get, as long as you're executing the other activities of devotional service, the more you love Krishna. The more you become dependent on Krishna. And you see, this is referring back to Bhumi. This is Bhumi's attitude. Her son has been killed. Okay, Krishna, I surrender to you. I'm dependent on you. I'm humble. All right, oh my God. Okay, just one more sentence, basically. If prema is supposed to be the final result of all devotional endeavors, how can Dainya be, this is a commentary, a consequence of prema? An answer, yes, prema is the final goal, but Dainya is not altogether different from prema. Dainya is an integral component of prema, and both foster one another, which is the same thing the verse says. They're both, anyway, they're both intimately, intricately, inseparably connected. So, we have one more minute. Any questions? Yeah. Right. Yes. Actually, your point is very well taken that depression means it's the opposite of humility because one is thinking more about themselves. You know, as I often say, humility is not to think less of yourself, but to think of yourself less. So, you know, if you think I'm not important, you know, Chris is important, that's humility. But if you think I'm important and I'm depressed, that's the opposite. That's pride. Like, you know, when a devotee said to Prabhupada, you know, I'm the most fallen, that he was just being proud of being the most fallen, or proud of being the most something. And Prabhupada said, you're not the most anything. Of course, sometimes Prabhupada did accept when people said, I'm the most fallen.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Marhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Anandani Yasa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namahom Sanupataya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namante Mahom Vishnu Pataya namaste. 가슴속지 대배 고르마네 어차 내게 길을 생샤 주녀와래 아차짝 제사차는 내 Je suis Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhara Sivasati, Gauramakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara Sivasati, Gauramakta Vrinda. Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara Sivasati, Gauramakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Looking on a Radha, looking on a Radha. Radha, looking on a Radha, looking on a Radha. Hey! Rate, rate, Shri Radha, hey, Jai Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahamsa Paramahamsa Satashi Shrimad, Divine Grace, Abhaya Chalana, ISKCON, founder of
God. 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 God.
Lord,
Haribo.
all praise to
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
all glory.
Hare Krishna.
Guru and Gauranga Shrimad.
God.
Chaitodarpanamarjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amitasmarane Nakala Etadrishita Bhagripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midrishami Hajjanina Nuraga Trinada Pisunichena Tarora Pisahishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Nadanam Chandram Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamae Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam vishame bhavam buddha kripayata vabada pankaja stita duli sadrishim vichintaya nainam gladishu daraya vadaram gadrudaya gira bulakana Havanamagrahane bhavishyati yugayatam namishena chakshusha pravashayatam shunayatam jagat sarvam govindam virahena me ashlishya vapadamratam panastumam adarshanam marmahata karotuva Yatatava vidadatu lampato mat pranaratastu sa evanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enabled us fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. They're not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Ki Jai.